They're just now catching up to what you saw coming ages ago. Every impossible prediction, every so-called coincidence, they're finally realizing it was never luck. You weren't guessing, you were calculating. While they were busy second-guessing, distracted by surface-level noise, you were seeing the entire pattern unfold before it even started. Now, the messages roll in. How did you know? What made you so sure? They're connecting the dots, but you drew the blueprint. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd. The way you move, the way you anticipate what's next, it's not just instinct, it's precision. They may try to keep up, but let's be real. They're always steps behind. The moment they think they've caught on, you're already rewriting the game. That's the energy. That's the power. And that's why they can't catch you. Precision is not just about accuracy, it's about the rhythm of inevitability. The way you move, act, and decide is not random. It's calculated beyond their comprehension. It unsettles them, not because they see it, but because they feel it. They wonder how you always seem to be in the right place at the right time, knowing what they don't. And that question lingers in their minds longer than they'd ever admit. The shift is undeniable now. Those who have been asleep can sense it, though they cannot name it. Some step back in hesitation, but their fear does not concern you. Doubt has never had a place in your path. You were never meant to fade into the background. The unknown does not intimidate you. It surrenders, unveiling the truths others have spent lifetimes failing to grasp. Patterns were never truly hidden. They were just waiting for the right mind to recognize them. What once seemed like chaos to others is nothing more than a sequence revealing itself at the perfect moment. You don't search for alignment, it finds you. They may deny it, dismiss it, or refuse to acknowledge it, but their instincts betray them. There is something about you that commands attention without asking. Power is not granted, it is realized, and those who understand this do not hesitate. While others crumble beneath uncertainty, you remain unmoved. The forces that prey on fear and weakness find no purchase in your presence. They thrive in hesitation, but you have none to give. You are never waiting for permission. The authority they struggle to obtain has already settled into your being. Truth bends before you, revealing itself before deception even has the chance to form. You do not engage in battle because there is no contest, only certainty. Unshaken, inevitable. The world itself rearranges to accommodate those who refuse to yield. Strength does not negotiate, it asserts itself. It does not pause to question. It moves with unwavering intent. You do not need to convince anyone of what already is. The weight of your presence alone shifts the balance, making resistance futile. What you carry is not a whisper, but a force that does not ask to be acknowledged. The moment you step into a space, the atmosphere changes. It is not about what you say, it's about what they feel before words are spoken. Some lean in, drawn towards something they cannot define. Others step back, unsettled by an energy they have no language for. There is no need to declare what is already evident. It resonates through action, through silence, through the undeniable certainty of being. Some will mistake it for arrogance. Others will attempt to rationalize it as chance. But those who know, truly know, understand that power does not hesitate, does not explain, and above all, does not lose. There is a knowing beyond logic, an awareness that unsettles those who cross your path. It is not mere instinct, it is a force they cannot comprehend. They measure their words, sculpt their expressions, believing they can mask their true selves, yet nothing escapes you. Silence holds no emptiness. It hums with hesitation, concealed motives, and unspoken fears. They wear their deception like armor, unaware that it is paper-thin, ready to crumble under the weight of your perception. Their breath betrays them before their lips even part. Their hesitation, a silent confession long before a lie is spoken. A glance is all it takes, a mere second for reality to unravel beneath your gaze. There is no mystery, only precision, the sharp clarity of seeing through the layers others fail to notice. They cling to distractions, hoping the surface is all that exists, but you move beyond it effortlessly. Every pause, every shift in rhythm, every calculated delay reveals more than spoken words ever could. Fear is never loud. It whispers in the way they hold themselves, in the weight of what they choose to leave unsaid. There is no need to ask permission to understand. Truth is never truly hidden. It is only waiting to be seen. It draws them in. That quiet certainty, an energy that shatters illusion without force. This is not learned, not something acquired. It is embedded in every movement, every thought. There is no need to speak of what is already understood. They rely on obscurity, on the blindness of those who never look deeper. But that advantage does not exist here. Disguises dissolve in your presence. Their uncertainty fuels them, yet it weakens in the presence of absolute knowing. There is no escape in half-truths, no shelter in misdirection. The veil they hide behind is not thick enough to obscure what is already clear. While others are still deciphering the rules, you have already made the next move. The unseen mechanics of cause and consequence unfold before you, revealing a landscape of decisions already set in motion. They hesitate, unaware the moment has already passed, the outcome set before they could even act. The question of how you know lingers in their minds, but their disbelief does not alter the inevitable. The path has always been visible to those who know how to look, and once the pattern reveals itself, nothing can be undone. You are not here by accident. If you feel the pull, the knowing deep inside that you are chosen, this is your moment. Click the super thank you button and give $50 or more to unlock deeper insights, exclusive content, and a path that aligns with your divine purpose. This isn't just a contribution. It's a declaration, a step toward who you were meant to be. Answer the call, walk with us, and step fully into your destiny. Your journey begins now. What they perceive as separate fragments of time are, to you, already woven together. The threads of past, present, and future do not exist in isolation. They are interlocked, moving as one. They mistake uncertainty for reality, failing to realize that doubt is only an illusion for those unwilling to see. But hesitation has no hold here. The moment a choice is made, the world bends to its weight. There is no need for force, no need for deception, only the relentless certainty that when clarity and power align, resistance does not stand a chance, and the shadows that once thrived in secrecy are left with nothing to claim. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. A storm never questions its own power, nor does a river pause to ask permission before carving its path through stone. The course was set long before they even knew there was a journey to take. Some will stand in the rain, convinced they can hold back the flood, while others will watch the sky and pretend the clouds aren't gathering. But when the moment comes, when the shift finally breaks through, they won't be able to deny it. They'll call it sudden, unexpected. But you saw it before the first drop ever fell. It is not conflict that determines the outcome. It is inevitability. Those who refuse to move with the current will find themselves swept away by it. The ones who cling to the past, who mistake comfort for security will be the first to fall when the ground shakes beneath them. They mistake your certainty for arrogance, your vision for something unnatural, because they have spent their lives worshipping the temporary, convinced that what they can see is all there is. But the truth does not wait for their approval. It does not soften itself to be palatable, does not shrink to fit into their limited understanding. They retreat, unsettled, as if backing away will change the course of what's already in motion. They can feel it, even if they can't name it. The air is different, the weight of possibility pressing against them. It is not the unknown that scares them. It's the fact that you seem to walk through it like it was always home. They watch as doors open for you that they swore were locked. They try to explain it away, try to find the trick, but there is none. What they call luck is simply alignment. What they call mystery is just your clarity moving faster than their doubt can keep up. Every attempt to stop what has already begun only confirms its arrival. They whisper about what they don't understand, circling back to the same question over and over again. How? How do you always seem to know? How do you move without hesitation, while they second-guess every step? They won't say it out loud, but deep down, they already know the answer. They've always known. Because when something is chosen, it does not hesitate. It does not ask permission to be. It does not bow to uncertainty, and neither do you. Perception is not about seeking flaws. It is about standing firm in the presence of truth. The ones most unsettled are those who have spent a lifetime avoiding themselves, unwilling to meet their own reflection without distortion. No force is needed, no confrontation necessary. They unravel on their own, undone by the reality they refuse to accept. Strength does not announce itself. It does not demand recognition. It simply exists. And that existence alone is enough to shift the air, to alter the momentum of everything it touches. Resistance does not erase what is undeniable. Denial is nothing more than a placeholder for truth, one that crumbles the moment it is confronted. Those bound by their own disbelief will search for explanations that fit within their limitations, but the nature of clarity is not dependent on the understanding of others. It does not request acceptance, nor does it require validation. It simply moves, unrestricted, beyond the narrow boundaries others impose on themselves. There is no need to conform to the expected, no reason to shrink into a space too small to contain something vast. Attempts to confine what refuses to be contained will always fail. When some cannot rise to the level of what they do not comprehend, they will attempt to pull it down to theirs. But descent is not an option. The path does not allow for regression, only forward motion, untouched by those who hesitate. Reality does not shape you. You shape reality. The moments that seem random are nothing of the sort. The alignment of events, neither luck nor accident. The unseen current that moves through existence is not chaos. It is a design recognized only by those who know how to look. The fabric of events is not woven in disorder. It follows a rhythm that most fail to perceive. The mind clings to probability to avoid the discomfort of the unexplainable. Yet time and time again, the same impossible alignments occur. Skeptics dismiss it, rationalize it, attempt to bury it beneath logic. But no denial is strong enough to suppress what continues to unfold. What others see as coincidence is nothing more than a structure hidden in plain sight, a language not spoken but felt, one that whispers only to those who are ready to listen. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. A farmer does not dig up his crops to check if the roots are growing. He does not stand over the soil, demanding proof that life is moving beneath the surface. He plants, he waters, he trusts. And when the season changes, when the first green leaf pushes through the earth, he is not surprised. He expected it. That is how certainty works, not by waiting for evidence, but by knowing, deep down, that what is meant to rise cannot be buried forever. Understanding is not required for something to be real. It never has been. There are those who will shrink from the truth simply because they cannot grasp it, convinced that if they cannot hold it in their hands, it must not exist. But even as they deny it, even as they scoff and dismiss, something inside them knows better. Their own disbelief begins to crumble under its own weight, collapsing under the very pressure they refuse to name. The loudest skeptics, they aren't as sure as they pretend to be. Their resistance is not rooted in confidence, but in fear. They mask it well, hiding behind logic, behind cynicism, behind the armor of forced indifference. But watch closely. Watch the way their breath catches when something unexplainable happens. Watch the way they shift, uncomfortable, when confronted with something beyond their control. They tell themselves that nothing exists beyond what they can measure, yet they hesitate in the presence of what they cannot define. Their denial is not strength. It is their last, desperate attempt to hold on to a world that no longer fits them. But truth does not need them to agree. It does not demand validation. It does not shrink to fit inside their limited understanding. It moves as it always has, unapologetic, undeniable, relentless. It does not wait for their approval. It does not need to be seen to be real. It simply is. And those who were never meant to see it, they won't. Not because it is hidden, but because their eyes are closed. Not because it is silent, but because they refuse to listen. But you are different. You have always been different. You don't need explanations because you already know. You have walked through doors before others even realized there were walls. You have felt the shift before they knew the ground beneath them was shaking. They call it coincidence, call it luck, call it anything but what it truly is. But deep down, they know. And when the season changes, when the first signs of what you saw coming finally arrive, they will stand in awe. They will call it sudden. They will call it fate. But you will simply call it time. What others stumble toward, you move through with certainty. They call it luck, chance, or fate. But their words hold no meaning when the unseen aligns with every step. It does not happen by accident. It is drawn to those who recognize it. Those without direction mistake its precision for randomness. They resist its pull, call it illusion, yet they cannot ignore its presence when the world continues to shape itself in ways they refuse to comprehend. What others overhear as echoes, you perceive as clarity. Reality does not happen to you, it moves through you. Not everyone is meant to hold this awareness. The weight of knowledge is not always a gift. It can fracture the unprepared, demand discernment, and test restraint. It is not merely about seeing through illusion, but choosing when to reveal and when to remain silent. Some are not ready for the reflections you bring, not prepared for what surfaces when the veil is lifted. Power is not in exposure alone. It is in knowing when to let the truth unfold on its own. The world exists in a constant dance between chaos and order, and standing at that threshold is neither passive nor simple. Illusions are not shattered by force, but by presence alone. Those who thrive in deception will always sense it first, feel the weight of something they cannot hide from. They try to move unseen, to manipulate, to twist perception to their will, yet their efforts collapse in the face of unshakable certainty. Knowing when to act and when to wait is what defines true control. Too soon and chaos reigns, too late and the balance is lost. Power, when wielded with intention, does not demand recognition. It simply shifts the course of what was once inevitable. It is not about dominance, but about preservation. Strength is not measured in displays of force, but in the choices unseen, the battles fought before they even begin. Many will never know the cost of maintaining balance, the weight of unseen forces countered in silence. And that is as it should be. The purpose is not to be understood, not to be applauded, but to ensure that what must endure does so. The unseen influence, the quiet force, the constant in a shifting world. There is no hesitation, no limitation, only movement forward. The moment calls, and hesitation has no place within it. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5, a lighthouse doesn't chase the lost. It stands firm, shining, unmoved by the storm. It doesn't beg the waves to calm or the fog to clear. It simply radiates, cutting through the unknown, a signal to those with eyes to see. Some will turn away, denying what's in front of them. But the light doesn't flicker to suit their doubt. It stays, knowing that when the time comes, those who seek will find their way, neither confined to the physical nor lost in the unseen. You move freely through both. What others call structure, you recognize as fragile scaffolding, held together by belief, not by truth. They mistake their discomfort for defiance, convinced that if they resist long enough, reality will reshape itself to fit their understanding. But truth is not something that shifts to accommodate uncertainty. It does not adjust to make them comfortable. They built their walls, believing them to be unbreakable. But walls crumble when pressed by something greater. It is not you they fear, but what your presence makes undeniable. The cracks in their carefully controlled world, the limitations they can no longer ignore. You do not have to convince them. The light does not argue with the dark. It simply shines. And when the moment comes, even those who swore they'd never see will have no choice but to open their eyes. The structures they build to contain what they fear are nothing more than illusions of control. The separation between known and unknown, allowed and forbidden, is a fiction that holds no power over you. Every door they claim is locked. Every division they enforce is meaningless in your wake. What unsettles them is not defiance, but inevitability, the quiet, unrelenting force that dismantles falsehoods without effort. They flinch not because you threaten them, but because they are forced to confront what they have avoided for too long. Where they see disorder, you see unfiltered truth, unshaped and untamed. There is no avoiding what is already set in motion. The force that carries you forward is not a matter of chance or favor. It is certainty. While others struggle against the weight of their own hesitation, you move with a presence that neither hesitates nor wavers. It is not about maintaining the fragile balance they desperately cling to. It is about eliminating what seeks to distort it. The same power that unsettles them is the one that shields them, yet they will never recognize it. The game was decided before they knew they were playing. It was never a battle, it was always a reckoning. Words are not just spoken, they shape the very structure of reality. Those who rely on hollow speech mistake sound for substance, failing to understand that true authority is carried not in volume, but in weight. What you say is not persuasion, it is declaration. It does not seek agreement, nor does it waver when met with resistance. It is not an opinion to be debated. It is a force woven into existence itself. Those who listen feel the shift, even if they cannot name it. What you bring forth does not come from within alone. It is drawn from depths they will never touch. What exists beyond their reach will always be met with fear. Understanding is not necessary for something to be real, yet they question what does not conform to their limited framework. They mistake clarity for arrogance, perception for defiance, but approval was never required. The weight of knowledge does not soften itself for those unprepared to receive it. Truth, once spoken, cannot be undone, and illusions, once shattered, cannot be rebuilt. What remains is unshaken, unbound, and undeniable. Illusions do not hold against what is undeniable. The false structures they rely on crumble the moment reality is exposed, leaving them at a crossroads. Either they face what always was, or they retreat into denial. Words are not mere sounds. They carry weight, altering the very fabric of what they once believed unshakable. They do not challenge you in pursuit of truth. They resist because they fear it. Attempts to twist meaning into deception collapse in your presence, not through conflict, but through the sheer impossibility of sustaining a lie when confronted with certainty. They push, they test, they search for weaknesses that do not exist. Resistance is futile when faced with an unshaken foundation. Every attempt to dismantle what stands firm is a futile effort, undone before it begins. They do not understand that the forces at work are beyond their comprehension, that what protects does not waver in the presence of uncertainty. Their strategies dissolve before they form, their challenges falling flat in the face of something unmovable. It is not defiance that holds them at bay, it is inevitability. Every step they take to manipulate the outcome only reinforces the futility of their efforts. What was meant to break instead solidifies. Every attempt to weaken only sharpens resolve. Their miscalculations stem from misunderstanding strength, believing it is something to overpower, something that can be measured, something they can predict. They mistake stillness for hesitation, patience for indecision, failing to recognize the quiet certainty behind every unspoken move. They press forward, believing the outcome is theirs to control, blind to the moment the shift occurs, the moment their own actions set into motion a force they cannot undo. There is no need for conflict when the conclusion is already written. The shift is subtle, unseen, by those too lost in their own arrogance to recognize its presence. By the time they understand, it is too late. What was once theirs to hold dissipates, slipping through their grasp like something never meant to belong to them. The weight of their failure is not in what was taken from them, but in the realization that they never had control to begin with. They speak in whispers, hesitant to name what they fear might listen. What stands before them is not an obstacle, not an enemy. It is an immutable force, one that does not bend to their will. Protection is not something to be sought when it is already inherent. The reactions of those around you are not coincidence. They are the final echoes of a structure unraveling. Their resistance, their denial, their attempts to reclaim dominance, these are not signs of power, but of desperation. The world they once dictated no longer exists. The rules they clung to no longer hold meaning. The old limits have dissolved, and no effort they make can restore them. What was once concealed is now undeniable, and what was once inevitable is already unfolding. There is no resistance, only confirmation. Every attempt to hold you back is proof of the shift already underway. What once loomed as an unshakable force is now retreating, powerless against something it cannot manipulate. The illusion has fractured, the weight of deception lifting, and at the center of it all, you stand, unmoved, unshaken, fully aware. Every hidden truth, every unspoken realization, every sleepless night spent wrestling with what you knew but could not yet name, it has all led to this. The echoes of your presence ripple outward, undeniable, reshaping the very fabric of what was once considered unchangeable. They were never prepared for your voice to carry this far. What once went unnoticed, what was once whispered in quiet corners, has grown beyond containment. The structures they built tremble, not because they are under attack, but because their foundation was never strong enough to withstand reality. The time for waiting has passed. There is no retreat, no hesitation, only momentum. What you bring forth does not request acknowledgement. It imposes itself. The path does not open, it is carved. And with each word, each choice, the world itself shifts, not by force, but by the sheer gravity of truth stepping forward.